Backup request. Backup request sent.
What up? What up? What up? What up? Damn. Damn. I bet you he on I bet you he on Flair team. Baron Corbin. I bet you he on Flair team. Yep. I bet you that's on Hogan team. Yep. Oh yeah.
Invite to another agent's group. Receive.
Yeah.
You need to stop Black Tusk from obtaining the data they're after from the vault.
I don't know who the fuck that is. That's why you fuck with. See, that's why you only be talking shit to a nigga like 3 times your size, though. Mm-hmm. Yep. And his son out there trying to figure out why he did that.
From what we can tell, Black Tusk changed the vault security codes, so you'll need to recover them in order to get in.
Yeah, you can put that nigga for sure in the goddamn swing Annapolis. That nigga out. It's alright, boo boo. We understand you don't like Olive Garden and shit.
One of the ranking Black Tusk team members should have access to the vault.
Baby, did you put that boy in that goddamn swing yet? What's your stomach doing, baby? Your stomach going? Cocoa Puffs? That's why you need to, yeah. I'm trying to figure out, you know what I'm saying, more ways of working around the fact that you can just be able to kind of be somewhat normal and shit again.
That's what you need. Grab that key.
Data vault access codes secured.
Head down and get into that vault.
So my son sleep. Goddamn, honestly, he been doing a lot better at sleeping now, man, today. He was doing a hell of a lot better at sleeping. My wife is a fucking champion. Wait, you alright? Babe? Just take your time. He said he done took his medicine. He kind of loopy. He can't. He tell you call me in the morning. He said he call me in the morning. Right, he just helped Seth Rollins. I'm confused. I made that bit. Ain't move. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for movement and sounds. I ain't getting either. I made this bitch light up. What up, folks? We back.
Authentication successful.
Another day of some successful streaming. A lot of learning new things about my son, which is awesome because that fool crazy. They ain't even get the goddamn key card. Sons of bitches. Nobody never get the key card. They trying to open the door up like that. They can't open the door without the key card.
Download initiated. Black dust download reported.
Yeah, that Gears 5 lit too. Excuse me. Wow. This cooking. Let me this bitch light up. You ain't gonna take me down like that, bro. Me and my merciless over here working though. You got shit going on, fat boy.
An agent needs assistance.
Boys can't even get out that door over there because shit's so real. I got you, dog. I got you. Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. I got you, dog. How you feel? Nope. Nope. Check on a motherfucker, please. Let me see. Right back there. Nope. No bullshit in my life. But I'm scared of shit. Don't rub off on me. I'm just thinking no lie. No bullshit in my life. Yeah.
Well done. Finish securing the building.
Knocked out on it. Yeah, we figured it out. That shit's simple. Not even 5 ounces.
Isaac can't transfer the data. Might be interference from the structure. Make your way back topside.
Yeah. What? Yeah, that's a no-brainer right there at that point. Yeah, cause shit, he out. That nigga out. That nigga say, "Mama, your milk strong," but damn, that nigga just took some crack, baby. So you got that cocaine, but what's in that bottle? That's goddamn. That's when you mix that shit. That's when you goddamn cook that shit. He ain't budged, did he? What? What? That we have a baby? Yeah. We got a baby. Make sure you push that way too. You good?
Still can't get a
Yeah.
clean signal. Something's throwing up interference.
Looks like Black Tusk might have set up some kind of jamming device on the catwalk.
I don't know. Say it's supposed to get pretty bad. So. Turn that down some. You heard me?
Device deactivated. Data transfer stream opened. And payload initiated. Serious trauma detected.
What's going on, Dre Day?
Now clean up the rest of the black stuff so we can
Get him with that merciless a couple times. See if they don't line his ass up. Get the package. They always forgetting, son. There's old weapons case right here. Now look, they done left. So okay, shit. I guess they got everything they needed. It's crazy. You still got the sniffles, baby. I don't. Hmm. I know, baby. Damn.
Agent killed.
Sold my ass up.
Agent down.
Like I'm about to get up. Boom, bitches. It's time. Oh, somebody fired his ass up. Let me put this damn nemesis back in my hand real quick. Damn. Done with that bitch.
Figure out what Black Tusk was after. The important thing is that we got it, they didn't. Well done. getting reports that Black Tusk is present at the old Hyena Den. Target the site and see what you can find.
Supplies nearby. Rations nearby. Agent requesting backup.
I really hope you like that last song. You're listening to Circle Radio with Andre. I know that the True Sons and the Outcasts have talked a lot of shit about Henry. I know that they've been saying that he is a bit of a slave driver, that we were fools to follow him, fools to work so hard and give away all of our time and energy to a man and a community that was unproven, that it was un-American and perverse to create community instead of opportunity. Well, we are striving. Together, we are surviving, and it wasn't a waste of time and energy. I want to let everyone know that Joshua is moving on to bigger and better things at the White House. He's had a rough time, and we haven't always gotten along, but I want to wish him well. If you see him around, maybe you can let him know how much you appreciate everything he's done for us. I think we could all use a little break. Here's some music.
So you don't get to see your doctor in for another 6 weeks. Okay. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that shit crazy. All right, so y'all, my son was born shit Thursday morning and shit. He been in the damn hospital since Wednesday evening. Got out Saturday. I was supposed to stream a little bit on the weekend, didn't get around to it, but probably one time. got a few things in order with him. He's starting to become a little more calmer about how he do things and everything like that. So we back like Cook Crack in the 80s. Welcome back to the show. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new to the channel and you are already a current supporter and follower, welcome back. It's been something else, man. I ain't even gonna front. It's been something else. Having your firstborn, shit. I'm pretty sure if you already got kids, you already know how it go. So I shouldn't have to embellish on that too much. What's wrong? Okay, I'm about to say, is the comment gonna go? All right, for those who watching on Facebook, I just pinned a comment. It tells you about the commands that are set up. So if you're new to the channel, you can type in notify, exclamation point notify, and you will actually, you can just type the commands. You can just check it out and find out what different things do, and have a little fun with that. All right, so keep moving. I saw something move. Whatever. I don't know. I think it might be his hand though. All I saw was some moves just now. Yep. What's wrong, baby? Ain't no way. What? Me too. That's how it was for the longest time. But yeah, we end up with a humidifier soon. That's something we got to use by tomorrow. About the same time it was made, the next day. Alright. At first I thought this shit was glitched.
Getting that Black Tusk assault team out of there is your main objective. There are a few high priority targets we want you to neutralize.
I'm ready to get it in. The 290, 243 guy, I don't know what he's gonna do. Merc hit him where it hurt. And if you want to know how hard I hit him, I'll show you my stats in a minute, just so you know I ain't messing around. Just so you know I ain't like one of them guys that probably left the game and came back after his son was born and shit wasn't together. I'm a hard hitter. I'm a heavy hitter. That's all I do. That's all I ever wanted to do. Don't run, bitch. Alright, I'm gonna show you something. Just so you get a little taste. My assault rifle damage is 40%. My all weapon damage is 18. Damage to elites is 84%. Just a little light work.
You're gonna have to do this room.
Just a little light work. Just something I threw together. Not something that's like overzealously something I use or nothing like that. But I will use this in my raid build, in my raids really, because of the damage output. I don't know. Let me put that in there. All right. I felt you, bitch. Only problem? You gonna feel me a little bit more than I felt you. Oh, and I meant to say that with that 40% on my assault rifle, I also have the bottom half of my clip 30% extra damage. So that's like 70% damage on the bottom half of my clip on my assault rifle, which is rather deadly if you ask me. That's only if you ask me. What? Man, you ain't even gotta tell me. You ain't even gotta tell me, baby. I already know where you're going. And that shit fucked up. That's almost like what she told us to say, well, what she put in the head before. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, shit, you a woman of God, you pray, bless and praise everybody else children. I'm your nephew, and you can't even call me. Come on, man. Come on. Don't delta her, brother. Thank God. I think I got that Mortal Kombat download. It's an update. What? I don't need to even follow up with them dumbass people. There's a reason they lonely and miserable. So let them continue to be lonely and miserable. But did you really notice that God continued to bless us no matter how much the devil decided to keep saying, I don't want to bless you, I don't want to bless you, and then how much? I mean, you're supposed to be a person of God, you know what I'm saying? And you're supposed to be preaching the word and all that, but you talk junk about people, you make it seem like people shouldn't have kids, you know what I'm saying, shouldn't get married to certain people. You don't even know the people. You judgmental already. You supposed to not even be judging people. You talking about living for Christ and everything. You don't know the first thing about that. Man, don't fuck with my turret, bitch. Look at you, dumb shit. Get your fuck ass down. You can catch these hands, ho. Don't come over here. Fuck ass, nigga. Fuck, man. Ready? Here we go, here we go, here we go. Stitched him up real quick. Stop that, boy. Yeah. Size your ass up. I'm not scared. I'm right here, son. I'm right here, bro. Bring that shit where I can see it. Crack your shit. Yeah, pay attention to the turret. Pay attention to the drone, rather. Yeah, pay attention to him. Don't worry about me. Yeah, I don't. You know, people miserable for their own reasons or whatever. They don't. They got things going on in their life they don't want other people to really find out. There's a lot of shit in the closet, man. A lot of shit in the closet. Somebody pick your fuck ass up. Fuck!
Serious trauma detected. Agent incapacitated.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I told her, I said, I'll be in court if you need me. I said, call me. I said straight up, because ain't nobody going to tell me I can't talk to who the fuck I want to talk to, man. Like, I ain't got nothing to do with what's going on in their relationship. Their relationship, their relationship. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck does that have to do with the family? If you ain't cross no bridges with me, you ain't really do nothing fucked up in my eyes. From what we said, we understood what the fuck happened. You know what I'm saying? We just sat back and let it happen. Fuck, we gonna do that. Ain't no goddamn problem. Not because we sat back and act like it wasn't our motherfucking problem if they got a problem with that. So fuck be it. I mean, why would you be in somebody's personal business anyway? If they got their own personal business, stay in your lane. You know what I mean? Don't get in nobody jump. True. Like I told her before, I listen. I'm there to listen and all that shit there. I ain't the one to goddamn to tell you to take my advice, cause I ain't in that situation, and I don't plan on being in that situation.
Encrypted chatter in your vicinity. Assume they know you're coming.
Touch that fucking goddamn thing. Man, he already know, man. I ain't with all that shit, man. I'm not. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. I ain't with all that shit. Motherfucker, they probably try to tell me who the fuck I can't talk to. That shit ain't gonna work. Shit ain't gonna work. Oh yeah, that's the first time they gonna get this shit hurt. When they think they gonna tell me what I can't do. Yeah. Shit. Who you again? Oh, you ain't my dad. Oh, okay. I was just checking for confirmation. Damn, he still so can't. And we already know why he can't do that. But like I said, man, that's all it is, man. People, man, I'm telling you, man, that shit was lit, man. That shit was lit. I don't know what the fuck happened. I don't know what the fuck happened, man. Remember that day I told you, I was like, I got cussed that fuck out of shit. I ain't know what the fuck this, man. I ain't know what the hell happened. I ain't even say nothing wrong. It's just I called the motherfucker and asked him, how you doing? Whoop. Oh, cuss me out. Boop. Hang up. Wait, what the fuck just happened? I ain't really worried about it. I'm in the right thing of mind at all times. Killer be killed. Let's go, bitches. Right there. Fire the whole team up. Get you some. But see, shit like that because people did that dude did that shit the other back in the day. So still don't know nothing about happiness. Still don't know nothing about happiness. If you definitely don't know anything about happiness except for being by yourself, that's all you're gonna be is by yourself. You can't even begin to tell nobody how to be in a relationship if you ain't never been in one. You know what I'm saying? That shit just ain't what it is. Motherfucker.
Agent incapacitated.
Caught up. These motherfuckers done ran all the way back there.
Agent deceased.
Damn. Son got his shit wiped too. You know, it's hard out here for a pimp. I already knew that was coming. He wasn't shooting with no assault rifle neither. That rifle, that do some damage, bro. But you got two of them in your face. You need some. You need some rate of fire. Uh-oh. AJ Styles about to go with the belt. He about to fight on what's the name for the belt? You heard me? Baby, look. Oh, she ain't paying no attention. First off, let me get out of this weak ass group.
You have
don't want that boy to do that and put on the quick thing. Like hell, boy wouldn't have to do it if he did it.
Shit, yeah, I don't know. Shit. I don't know, shit. Motherfucker goddamn round, motherfucker round.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know.
you can't be mad at someone who technically basically doing your goddamn job.
I mean, then again, he being human. I mean, then again, like, who would even talk to somebody, right? And they got children and stuff that don't, you know, if you interested in that, you know, in that individual and they got kids and shit, you ain't trying to goddamn,
safe
you
area
know,
entered.
look at the kids in the same aspect. There's something wrong. But then again, he wouldn't have nothing to do with her. That's what I'm saying. So, I don't know. Like I said, shit. I'm cool. I ain't got no problem. We on Division 2, man.
Invite
We
to
lit.
another agent's group. Receive.
What up, folks? What up? What up? What up? Well, our true color came out. Is he a mixture? He's a mixture. I can't say what color he is because that nigga ain't get all his color yet. He go fuck around, get some sun, and be a goddamn brown skinned baby.
Black Tusker going after the shade node.
Shout out loud. Nah, Ryan, you got me fucked up, bruh. No, Ryan, I will not do that, bruh.
Unauthorized network access. Detected.
No, Ryan, you know he sleep, right, Ryan? You know that, right? Why would I shout out loud and wake him up? Wait, then again, we done figured out exactly how to put his ass to sleep for a couple hours now, or more. Like today, he slept at max. I think he slept 5 hours in one sitting. So that shit was lit. That shit was lit, my friend. Because usually it's just like a two hour spurt, but that 5 hour spurt that worked for us. He was able to actually get some sleep. But I mean, I'm talking Forget the baby. I dig the new layout. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how this particular layout came about right here, and I'm still working on it. But the photo, on the bottom, we got the same artist, Ryan. So you know what I'm saying. All my artwork comes from the same guy. So, this particular photo is one he did, and I said I need to find a way to use it. And I saw this one guy who had a layout similar, but his photo was something he had took from somebody. Like he didn't have no actual artwork of his own and whatnot. So that's how this came about, because having my own artwork was cool, and being able to kind of give a different look. I still have the other looks, you know what I'm saying? I still have the other scenes or whatever. I just changed the scene collection and pretty much did it like that. You say, how the baby doing? Man, that nigga knocked out, bro. He is knocked out, bro. TKO. We TKO'd his ass today. I'm gonna tell you what we did. All right, so we needed to go to the grocery store. We had been putting all this time and attention into him the past couple days that when we came home after not being home for 4 days, we didn't even fucking go to the grocery store. So we had to go to the grocery store. We'd never made it to the grocery store. Here's why. My mom was like, you need to come get your mail, and y'all got milk. Because my wife has signed up for this thing that actually gives her milk, or actually sends her milk every month. So that way, sometimes if she's not able to be around for the breastfeed, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But we breastfeeding and we get the pump tomorrow and all that shit like that. We got plenty of bottles and shit like that. Anyway, so we took them out. We went to my mom's house, got the mail. After we did that, we went by my old job, and we ate. You know what I'm saying? I got to let my old boss get a chance to meet the baby. Boom. He was already asleep. Mom's woke him up. She gave him some milk. He went back to sleep. Boom. Right. And then we went to what the hell did we go after that? Oh, then we went to my sister's house. And then I think he woke up over there. Yeah, he woke up over there too. And waking up over there, we had to put him back to sleep. All right, so we put him back to sleep and everything like that. And then we rode, and then we came home. You know what I'm saying? After that, but that was, we were gone for a little minute. And we actually, when we got to my old job, we actually sat down and ate. You know what I'm saying? He was asleep the whole time we was in there. Oh yeah, I'm trying to hit superstar, man. The level of support, man, that I need that. You know what I'm saying? To hit what we need to hit, man. We hit our target. Our target is partnering with Facebook. Once we partner with Facebook, I can start giving away like consoles and shit like that. You know what I mean? Making the giveaways a little more interesting. You know, making like the games and the look and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be so much more different things I'll be able to do. I can do them now, but it would help. You know what I'm saying? If I was already getting more support to be able to do it, I would need a little bit more support to start doing certain things. Oh, I already know, big dog. I already know. You know, I appreciate it. I ain't never been I'm out here by myself type dude, because it ain't like that. Very humble individual. Let me go up here and check it. Where the fuck you think you going? With that flex, won't be begging for no more.
Get another agent.
Shit, let's throw them shares up. Where we at? Shout out to the people watching on. Shit, we got just Facebook right now. We broadcast to all channels, man. Twitch, Mixer, Facebook, and YouTube. Right now, see, we got a whole little crew up in here on Facebook. Shout out to those who watching on Facebook. MVP, you is. Don't let nobody tell you that shit ain't the biz. Barbecue meal, do chicken or grits. So we playing Division 2. Who really with the shit? Huh? Yeah, we put them on for 30 minutes earlier. I don't, baby. I don't. I'm sorry. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Yeah, make sure. Yeah, we gotta make sure. Go ahead and make sure all our paperwork in order. The paperwork, all the paperwork from the hospital is in the book bag, in the Gucci book bag. Hey, so Ryan, how you liking your new artwork, bro? Let's talk about that for a minute. How you liking your new artwork? Shout out to the new followers to the page. Your what? Is your card and stuff in there? Okay. Because I thought you had it last, but I wasn't really sure if I had it last. What? You say first off, you got my number. Call me. You really want me to call you, Ryan? Like no cap. You really want me to call you right now? I mean, I gotta put my other headset on. That's all I'm asking. God damn it. That's kind of cool, man. But see, even if so, we ain't got them bundled up or nothing, and it ain't too cool, but it's cool enough. Cause what the L on 70? Huh? What paper? Tried to close me in. How the fuck is the J supposed to look like? You know what? We got a little folder in there. We can probably put some shit we got taken. What's going on, y'all? What's up? I ain't even downloaded yet, bro. I ain't even capping. Yup. I ain't even downloaded yet on that on the Xbox, bro. I ain't downloaded yet. Yeah, just a little grind, man. Little man sleep, man. He sleep. Yeah. He sleep, bro. Little man is definitely sleep.
Assistance.
Pick your fucking face up, bitch. No. Don't worry. Stay right there. Niggas is dead. What the fuck is they out here doing? Alright, let's go surveil the situation, shall we? We're gonna go over here first. We're gonna pick her up over here. Shit, I gotta get it downloaded first. Look at my fucking ass here. Oh shit. There you go. Got something for you. Fire your ass up, bitch. Fire. Put your ass across the fucking wall, pussy. Lame on. Swiss. Yeah, my bitch got to look at a hit spot. Bitch can't wait till my shit spot. You make the moment the leg pop. You don't click stop because that means I'm empty. These people are trapped in the shit. They hit you, miss you, rip through tissue. You know, never mind this because I miss you. What the fuck? Yeah, side your ass up from across the hallway. What do you think? Okay, well.
Sending the UAV.
We ain't sending shit. Not gonna do it, son. Let me get that fucking fault right. Everybody oh, Anderson heavy. Going to see him. You better not jump his fat ass down. Look like he did. Fuck ass here. Don't run, ho. How I feel. They always fuck up his middle name. Word. Yeah, man. You see it took me I was trying to come back this weekend. I had one stream this weekend, but then like nah. Bro wasn't having that shit, bro. Bro wasn't having that shit. Bro was like, Daddy, no. Fuck you thinking about? I was like, alright, but you ain't gonna just keep telling me that shit. You took him from me. Don't ask me what he is. You took him from me. I cut him off. I cut mine off and his off. Remember? That bag wasn't over there. It's over there somewhere. You put him over there somewhere. All right, let's get. You know I get in it. Oh, somebody put down their flare to her first. Yes, thank you. God damn, I don't want to put down mine first. Bitch, you got to put yours in the right spot. Oh That's some shit here. Let me show you how to do this shit. Put it right here. Alright, then. Across the park. Nobody can run. Nobody running out of this bitch on this side. What you doing, dog? What the fuck you doing, dog? Alright. Fire in the hole. Fire in the hole. This shit right here, though. And this shit on heroic, too. He ain't touched me yet. He's a pussy, though. On gang. Look at this shit. Fucking melt. Oh, turn that bitch off. It's gonna kill me. Other side. Yeah. Set it off in this motherfucker early. Fuck you think you going? Yeah. Go Luke. Go Luke. What the fuck is wrong with you, pussy? Yeah. Assault rifle damage. Nope. I already got the other one. Ooh.
I'm gonna put this thing in here.
That's fine.
Put up a goddamn drone!
Come here. What did you think you doing? You ain't even shot me yet. You know why you ain't shot me? Cause I'm a dead eye shot, bitch. Why the fuck you ain't shot me? Come here. Yep. Put him an outfit in there. Put him, put a burp in. Put a bib, put like a bib or two in there. Put
I think we're okay. Good work in there.
Well, that's what I think about. I'm full? What kind of shit is that?
Another bottle and just put formula in it.
Yeah, so like to have one prepared?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah, that makes sense.
Especially since I'm gonna be out longer than usual. What we got here? These are Burger Bills.
No, bourbon bibs in the bottom. That's towels and towels in the front. That's a out. I think that's a then the newborn outfits at the back on the right, but the hat's on top of that. Tell you, man knocked out too. Old Mike Tyson uppercut on that shit. He is going nowhere right now, cuz. So we went to my mom's house today. My mom was like, "Hey Dre, he got gas." I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, check this out. If he used the bathroom and you the one find out, you gotta change his diaper." You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna just gingerly pass you his diaper bag, cuz. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let you change his diaper, you know what I mean? He fucked that diaper up too, cuz. Bombs over Baghdad to that motherfucker too. You know what I'm saying? So, shit, he ain't piss on her like he pissed on his parents. I'm assuming that might be one of them things where it just happened to the parent. But I figure if my mama babysit his ass for like a couple hours or some shit, I feel like it's gonna happen. I really feel like that shit gonna happen. I ain't even bullshit. Huh? Yeah, them Them bourbon bills right there. Now the what's the name in the bottom? His bibs in the bottom. He got so many of them motherfuckers. I like that piece. I'm gonna send that one too. Nope. Mm-hmm. Trying to clear out my damn bags, man. Niggas be shopping. You can't stop a nigga from shopping. Wait, you say you got one? Yeah.
Incoming backup request.
But then you got two onesies?
This is a onesie with a pair of pants. These are onesies.
Okay.
Okay. Two bibs, just in case.
Okay.
And extra bourbon bib.
Okay.
Okay, actually just put these in.
Excuse me. Oh yeah, yeah, trip. Hell yeah.
Any more blankets? Where are they at? Which floor are they?
The blankets in the bottom. Yeah, they in the bottom with the bibs, with his bibs.
What about you? What was your moment?
My moment?
That made you want to join up?
Oh, Hurricane Aniki. I was just a kid, but I still have nightmares about it.
You wrote it out?
We didn't have a choice.
Damn.
It wasn't just the storm, though. There was no power for months. Roads out, houses collapsed, or with their roofs torn off.
I can see
Alright,
how that
so let's go through this shit. Get rid of some more gear.
But it was
Check out what we got.
It brought our community together. We made some friends for life that we might never have got to know otherwise. Plus, there was still a world out there. You knew there were places you could go where everything was just fine. That makes a difference.
So this one is actually ready to go. Unless you think something else to play with. No, the formula stuff will go over there.
Yeah.
And where it goes to here.
Let's see, how would I even modify that? Try to bring everything down. I ain't even gonna want it. Wait. Worse luck with this True Patriot shit. Check ongoing.
Trying to get it somewhat organized again, but somebody might want to do it. Just feel this discombobulated. We gotta get it. Hopefully it's not right now. Let's paycheck. Yeah, so my pictures.
Yeah.
His close separated.
What you mean? We had the music on. Damn right.
So which one do you want to do? Oh, British.
It's just a shirt to wear. Shit, I ain't got no motherfucking shirt myself, so I might as well keep the shirts I got.
So I'm doing a pile that's like mandatory wash and then secondary wash.
Well, I mean, just mostly like my work pants, shit like that.
Hostiles guarding location nearby.
What happened? Oh shit. They sold it in prison. Think I put it back. Yeah. Wait. Yeah, I think I did, but I could have ran past you, but I wanted to say something before I just got up and started running past you and shit. Cause if I'd have bumped you or him, he'd have woke up and you'd have been I'd have been mad. It's in there, right? Cool. I left it in there. Keep them well. Well, shit. Whatever. Nobody. When you see me buying clothes. Yeah, I know. That's the bag over on the shelf.
Need help crafting something? I'll see you another time.
Damn, I ain't never got enough supplies when I get in this bitch to do something. Okay, 35. Let me check my mods. Ain't not fucking with that one. I don't think not fucking with that one either. So. That's kind of give and take. I'm gonna just stay with my. I'll stay with my armor on that. I'll probably modify something else. See, I gotta find another vest. What you need me to do about? You sure? Oh, he about to go up against Seth Rollins, bitch ass. %, assault rifle damage. Just throwing it out there. 84% DTE. Grind a little bit. What else we got left?
Sending backup request. You are now group leader. Another agent is now in your group.
Definitely shaking my head and agreeing with you.
Hostile control point identified. Hostile supply convoy detected.
Eventually we'll get to the point where you can watch all the damn programs.
Now to roll this off this weapon real quick. About to put this new assault rifle in my hand real fast before I proceed. Shout out to Dan Duff Weeds, following the page. Shout out to J Cash, Sean Johnson for liking the page. Shout out to Corey for liking the page. What we got here?
Another agent is now in your group.
I ain't gonna lie, I hope they don't really start the mission, but I don't really care if they do. It's not like I'm gonna be tripping like that or some shit. Mm-hmm. Got to roll this out this weapon real quick, and I'm gonna get ready to join the fight real quick. Let's see. The only thing I don't like is it look like that went down. Magazine's bigger. So,
Always good to see you, Agent.
you gotta be careful. That mean? You know how he like to put his feet in the air and shit. You want me to help you up?
We have zero intel on how they're set up on site. Getting that black Tusk
I don't
assault
see his
team
foot
out
no
there is your
more,
main
so he
objective.
might have went back
There
to
are a few high priority targets we want you to neutralize. The codenames are Tuck, Roadblock, Carter.
Found out of here, don't worry about it. Found out of here.
Son of a bitch! Going in. We'll get you. Keep them.
I know how the niggas finna act though. They gonna bring the hate through the back though. Oh, that nigga really can't rap though. and his price is high for his track though. I know how this thing finna go down, cause it's hard to get the love in your hometown. Everybody wanna be the first blood. And if you get this enough for all love, think gonna worry. I'll never settle my vendetta by getting me some shelter.
Just don't burn. Let's see how they like that. You got another.
Medical assistance needed. Agent out of action.
Okay.
An agent needs assistance.
Confirming that Puck is down. Good work. Continue clearing the building.
Oh shit. When did Lana start coming out with somebody other than Rusev?
Picking up some encrypted chatter in your vicinity. Assume they know you're coming.
Might want to turn that up. Really, baby? Man, he tonguing Lana. Shit. I know motherfuckers in the audience like, damn. He's a whole bitch just watching his wife get tongued by this dude. Oh yeah, he working Lana over too. Damn, he working Lana over, babe. Look at her. I'm fucking. I ain't lying. I ain't doing all that kissing. For real? That shit lit. I like that new motherfucker. Fiend. Yo, what's going on, Ishmael? What's up with you, bro? I already know, bro. You got a lot of energy. You ain't do a lot. So, yeah. You did a lot, especially with the damn thing. Like I said, like I was telling the mama and I was like, man, we ain't never, like, no, I was thinking, I think I was telling Hiker that shit. We ain't never not been home for 4 days.
Roadblock has been neutralized. One priority target remaining.
That's fine. We'll be out tomorrow. And the Watchwell ain't too far from the doctor house. That bitch smacked the fuck out my ass.
Agent down.
I gotta stop getting excited. You was wondering where your rings went. What time is it here? It's 11 It's 11 o'clock at night. Stick your head up, guys. I drained that bitch with that nemesis just now.
Movement on the roof.
Drain that
Multiple
bitch.
squads back down into the building.
Hey baby, you put me some Sprite in our cup. Okay. Oh, okay. I don't know if I got the formula down. I just stay and follow the instructions. Yeah, well, I had to kind of convert. I had to convert down, honestly, on the measurement, to be honest, because this said fluid ounces, and it counts it by the ounces. You waking up? Fuck.
Agent down. Serious trauma detected.
Letting them out.
Medical assistance needed.
That's crazy though. You know why I say that's crazy? Because they both having a baby by the person they with. And they had a baby together.
Another batch of reinforcements just headed down from the roof.
See you wait. Sitting there. Damn, so he back asleep. Damn. Man over there enjoying that good sleep. That's
Looks
right.
like they're taking up defensive positions around a mobile command post topside.
They've got a command station. You should pull data from it.
Download initiated.
Look, California about to pay their college athletes.
An agent needs assistance.
What? Scale of 1 to 10. Breathe. Did you do any? Was there any sudden movements or anything beforehand? I thought it was up to the first year. That don't make sense. We just didn't give us Medicaid fucking 30 days after the baby. That don't make no sense. Where?